Welcome back to my channel, you guys. If you're new here, welcome. I'm going to be giving you guys some tips on how a man will test you in this video. Okay, so number one, he'll take you to an expensive restaurant. So not a lot of women out there actually understand this, and it didn't take me, it took me some time to realize why guys do that. I wasn't really paying attention to it. In my mind, I'm like, cool, an expensive restaurant, that's what I deserve, that's what I was thinking, you guys. But I'm here to tell you that there's sometimes a hidden agenda to that, okay? And the reason why men will take you to an expensive restaurant is just to see what you'll do, right? So I'll give you guys an example. So I'd say 7 months ago, I went to this restaurant. So a guy took me to the Cheesecake Factory, and I had no idea at the time he was actually testing me, but I had told him hey, it's fine, we can go to a different restaurant, you don't have to spend that kind of money on me. Just because, I did kind of feel bad, but it should have been a no-brainer. Okay, why is he taking me to this really, really expensive restaurant and he doesn't even know me like that, right? And we still stayed at the restaurant, and I ordered, but I didn't get the most expensive thing. And I told him that. I'm like, well, I'm trying to be considerate of your pocket, so I'm not going to be I'm not going to be picking the most expensive thing on the menu. And he was really silent. He didn't really say much. And then fast forward months later, he basically told me yeah, that was one of the reasons why I stuck with you, is because a lot of women nowadays, they look at me like a walking ATM. I kid you not, he told me that. And he was like, yeah, they look at me like a walking ATM, and it's just too much, they don't care. They'll order anything on the menu, or they just expect to go to, expensive restaurants. And the first thing you told me was, no, you don't need to take me there. It's perfectly fine. And I really admired that about you. And that's why I stuck with you, because it was just something different. So if you do still go to an expensive restaurant, just make sure that you don't order, the most expensive thing, and let him know that, because some guys will also think of it as oh, she's just someone cheap, and I could just take her to some place that's not even expensive. She's ordering something that's not even, it's not even special. We can go to McDonald's to get a burger. She really ordered a burger, and there's nothing wrong with ordering a burger or anything like that, you guys, but some guys will think that. So just be mindful, and do let him know, I'm trying to be, I'm trying to be mindful, and, not pick the most expensive thing, to help your pockets. If that makes sense. Okay. But that's it for number one. Number two is the opposite, and that's he'll take you to a very cheap restaurant. Not even a restaurant. He'll take you to a fast food place like McDonald's or Burger King. As soon as, if a guy wants to go on a date with me, right? And I'm like, okay, where are we going? Do you have anything planned? And he tells me oh, I was just hoping we'd go to McDonald's or Burger King. I cut him off. At first, I honestly, I can't sit there and say I've always been cool with that, because I don't think there's ever been a time where I was cool with that. And for granted, there are some guys out there that they just don't have it like that. But my mindset is, well, if you're really struggling and you don't even have it like that, to where, you're struggling, you can't even get McDonald's, then honestly, you shouldn't be taking anyone out on a date. You should be saving your coins, save your money, and then go out on a date with someone. You get what I'm saying? So, yeah, just be mindful of that, and let him know, you're not taking me to McDonald's. You're not taking me to Burger King. You need to actually pick a restaurant where we can sit down and talk. This isn't just no, fast food, drive-through, quick date or whatever, where you think, you can get me something from McDonald's, a Whopper from McDonald's, and, you call it a day, and that was our date, because I'm not going to talk to you again. You feel me? So be mindful, because sometimes, they try to see, if you'll accept, them taking you to like McDonald's or whatever. And once they see that, then congratulations, they're going to end up taking you to McDonald's or Burger King like almost all the time, because you just basically told them that that's okay. And like when you're in a relationship with them, that's perfectly fine. I'm not saying like you can never go out, to McDonald's or wherever. Like go where you feel comfortable, or wherever you like. But like I said, just be very mindful, and especially on the first date, you set the tone. So again, just be mindful. Number 3, he will tell you information to see if you remember it. So sometimes guys will tell you personal things, or just things about their family or their sister or friends or anyone. It doesn't matter, just any kind of information, right? And later on he might bring that up, and if you're like, what, like I don't remember you telling me that, like I don't remember that at all, then he's gonna think in the back of his head like, okay, either A, she doesn't care about the things that I tell her, or I mean she has a really bad memory. But I mean, if you have a really bad memory, that's perfectly fine. Like sometimes I can't even remember things. That's perfectly fine. But if he's thinking in the back of his head like, okay, like this girl really does not care, like I'm telling her some personal stuff, he's it's just not gonna go well with him. Okay, so that's all I have for that. Another one, and I didn't even write this one down, is he'll basically oh my gosh, I thought of it and like it just completely went away. What was I going to say? Like I can't believe like my thoughts just erased it. Oh, okay. He'll tell you something, and he'll talk about something personal, and he'll see if like you're not self-centered. And what I mean by that, because I didn't really exactly explain it, is like he might be telling you again something about his family or something personal, and he's trying to have like a deep conversation with you, right? And then like every now and then you're just cutting him off, and you're making everything about you. So he could tell you something about like his sister or cousin, and then you turn around and talk about your sister or your cousin, and you cut him off. Like guys will and this one's not even on purpose, it's just them like talking and trying to get to know you, but they will take note like if they're trying to tell you something important, right? And out of nowhere, like you're cutting him off every second, like you won't let him get a word in, and then you're also turning things about you. So the same guy that I was talking about, another thing that he said was when he tried to talk to females and it was like the first date, they would literally cut him off, or they wouldn't let him talk. In fact, he said like they actually, like the majority of them wouldn't let him talk about like things that were personal to him. Like he never actually was able to have a deep conversation, and he was just like, that really means a lot to me, because like with these other women, I couldn't get a word out to them, and honestly I felt like they really didn't care about what I had to say. Like they didn't really want to listen, and you're the first person to want to listen to me. So just keep that in mind, that they also take note of that. And I didn't even write that one down, but yeah, keep note of that. Okay. 4, he'll ask you about previous relationships. So a lot of guys do that, and I want to put a disclaimer out there. Don't talk about your ex or what your ex did. So if your ex cheated, do not tell the guy like, oh yeah, like my ex ain't crap and he cheated on me and this is what he did, and you wouldn't believe that his mom stuck up for him and she didn't even tell me that he was no good, and like you don't want to go into all of that details, because another thing guys do, and this isn't really exactly with testing, but like they'll keep that in mind. And if you haven't noticed already, like whenever you tell a guy like my ex had cheated on me, or he did this and he did that, like they'll be like, oh, like I would never do that to you, I would never do that to you, and then they end up doing it. Like I don't know what it is, but it's like something in the air. It's like you're literally putting that into the guy's subconscious, and like he ends up doing it. Like, but yeah, so he'll ask about previous relationships, and he'll basically just try to see like what you have to say, or he'll try to see if you're loyal. So maybe you might say, oh yeah, my ex stopped talking to me, like he ghosted me, or he just stopped talking to me for like, a few days or for a week, and as revenge or as punishment, I went out and I cheated on him, and that's what he deserves. Like, you're gonna push the guy away. Like, he's thinking in the back of his head, like, okay, I can't trust her. She's not loyal. I have to watch out for her, or she's just not someone who I want to be with. Like, I don't see being with her long term, if that makes sense. So guys will also try to test you with that. So just be mindful of what you say, and don't give away too much. 5, he will come to see you without making plans. This one I hate because, like, 9 times out of 10, I'll just be sitting around with my bonnet on, and I have this particular person who would just come over without telling me that he was coming, and it drove me crazy. And if you don't set the example way ahead of time, which I wish I would have did, because otherwise he would have stopped. But if you don't set the example, the guy's just gonna keep doing it, and the reason why he's doing it is he's trying to see like what you'll tolerate, and if you'll tolerate him just popping up out of nowhere, and it's just it's not fun. And like I said, other times, like, it just drove me crazy because I wanted to be prepared. I want to get done up instead of being caught in a big baggy t-shirt and a different colored bonnet looking crazy like I'm out in the ghetto or something. Like, no. So yeah, guys will try to some guys will just pop up and try to see if you'll tolerate him popping up out of nowhere. And just make sure you set the tone for that, because another thing I forgot to mention, guys, I'm sorry, but going right back into it, another thing I forgot to say is, like, I wouldn't lock the front door, and sometimes, like, family who would be over, like, they wouldn't lock the front door, and he knew that, and he would just come in, and he still does. And he even told me, he's like, yeah, I remember one time seeing, like, a family member of yours walk out. He didn't lock the door, so I kept that in the back of my mind, that you guys always have the door open, and so I know I can just come in. And that kind of scared me because I didn't even realize, like, he paid attention to that. And I actually do lock the door, but like I said, I have family members who don't, and I still tell them to. Now it's just a point where it's just a habit now. He just comes, nobody locks the door. Even if I tell family members to, they let him in, or they just leave the door unlocked, and now it's a habit, and now he just comes whenever he pleases. So don't do that, and be mindful and set the tone, like, hey, I don't appreciate it. I don't want you to come without calling me or letting me know first. And if he still keeps coming, obviously don't come out, lock the door, whatever you need to do. Because I noticed when, like, he would come and I'd lock the door, or like I wouldn't come out, he stopped. He actually sat outside for like 2 hours in his car, one time almost overnight, because I wasn't answering his calls, what he did to me. But I noticed, like, he learned the hard way, like, okay, she's not answering, and now I'm outside and I can't come in, and I drove like a few hours to come see her, and you know what I'm saying. So just be mindful. I mean, now I'm used to it, and there's no shade to him, so hopefully he doesn't ever come across this video. No shade, but yeah. 6, he'll put you in a situation to figure out your personality. So what I mean by he'll put you in a situation is either literally he'll put you in a situation, or 2, he'll just bring up, like, what would you do if this happened, and you only had these 2 choices. He's basically just trying to figure out your personality. And I know you're like, well, what do you mean by that? Or you may be thinking, like, what do you mean by that? But what I mean is, literally, he'll give you 2 options, and off of whatever option you pick, he's just gonna be like, okay, like, that's the type of person she is. Or, oh, I might not be able to get away with this, or, oh, I know what to do if this situation actually does happen. So it could be a good thing and it could be a bad thing. Sometimes guys will try to use that against you. But yeah, that's all I have for this video. If you did like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, like, and I'll see you guys in the next video.